Just coming in at the about the halfway mark or so of Field 2's game, Krank versus McDuff. Krank are in red. They're up 7-3 against McDuff in black at the moment. So just showing this game as the previous game that we were showing on Field 1 just ended early. That was the Roundabout versus Manescu match, which you can also see here on ULTI.TV. So Krank moving up the field. A lot of good highlights I've seen so far from this game, so hopefully bring you in now, we'll be able to see a few more coming up. It's a lovely hammer over the top there. Krank getting that catch just off of their end zone, looking to move it around. And that's an easy score for Krank. Krank now up 8-3. Krank with the pull after their score. Krank leading 8-3. A little bit of wind coming in on this game. It's coming from the far side to the near side at the moment. A bit swirly as well. As McDuff move the disc up, go for the long huck to get an early, easy score. And indeed, they do get that score. So McDuff now 4 to Krank's 8. McDuff with a pull, Krank with a reception, moving it up the field quite nicely. Little high release flick there from Krank.
There's like some trucks there, there's like an F1 car. There's a carrot.
Krank just outside their end zone looking for the score. They'll probably swing it, get a bit of movement, different angles on the throw into the end zone. There goes the hammer over the top for an easy score for McDuff. McDuff now 9-4. Oh, sorry, the Krank now 9-4.
I've only 2 games right. Sorry, yes, right. There was
Going back to the second half of this game, Krank in red versus McDuff in black. McDuff with a pull down to Krank. Quick swing to the near side. McDuff putting on a fairly effective man defense, and it looked like just at that start, Krank doing a slight isolation play. Now everyone's getting into the picture here and they're wanting it deep. There goes that deep throw. Nice huck. Easy catch, easy score. Krank opening their account for the second half and continuing on their way. Krank now 10, McDuff 4. McDuff picking up that pull from Krank. Krank really shutting down the McDuff offense, and so having to go for that long huck there. At least they gained some yardage in that high stall count. Krank on the offense now. Really just recycling their offensive players, going deep and cutting under and getting quite easy unders here. Bit of a bladey dump there, but easily caught by the Krank receiver. Will jump that into the line, scored as a goal. And Krank now on 10, McDuff on 4. 11. Krank with a pull going to McDuff. Score is Krank up 11-4. Krank now testing out their zone on this McDuff offense. And produces results straight away. Krank to pick up the disc, swing it to the near side quickly. McDuff in a man defensive situation. A nice defensive effort there by McDuff to stop that score, deny. Hammer over the top. That's going to be a big gain if it made it, but it didn't quite, just over the top of her head, number 99 there. Krank bring it in again quite quickly. That's a lovely airtime there from that receiver to get the disc. Number 48 with the disc at the moment. Dumping it sideways. There's the handler cut that we're looking for. Will that stay up just in time? I think it was just out of her reach, and dropped. Nice effort there. McDuff bringing the disc back into play on the far side, just at the front of their defensive end zone. Bit of a scuba over the top to the mid. Quite effective in gaining yardage. Nice quick movement across to the far side. And up back in through the middle. Now we've got a bit of flow on from McDuff. That's what we like to see. Nice hammer over the top. That should be caught quite easy. Towed in. Beautiful awareness there by the McDuff receiver. And jumped in for a score. That's really good to see by McDuff. Scores now 5-11, Krank up. McDuff with the pull. Nice catch, reception by Krank. And already about halfway up the field. He wanted that huck. $18 dumps back to 8, across the field. That was low. Nice pickup though by the handler there, the receiver. Easy under. Krank just looking to walk this in at the moment. And that's a beautiful out. That'll go on the highlights reel. Well done to Krank there. Krank ahead, 12-5. McDuff with the reception off that pull. And a nice defensive effort there by number 9, Krank. Krank pick it up immediately. Pick called on that play. I don't think it affected the receiver there, so the disc will stay with thrower at the moment. Disc tap back in. Back to the handler, number 31. Disc back in play now. Krank giving up a few yards here. And that was a misread. There's a nice defense there, actually. Had the awareness to actually push it forward to the advantage of the McDuff team. That's good thinking play. I like to see that. Now McDuff with the offensive rebound, looking to score, and unfortunately dropped that. They wanted that one. You can see he's disappointed by that drop. Had it in his hands. He knows he should have taken that, but unfortunately went to ground. Krank now back with the disc. So this man defense by McDuff at this point has actually stifled Krank quite heavily. So they'll probably look to put something long, I expect. They'll be getting frustrated as they're boxed in and hemmed in the defensive half. Another call on the play. Pick, I think. And then just good work by this McDuff defense. Really putting doubt into the mind of the Krank handlers, whether they should throw it or not, whether the McDuff defense is going to get a hand on the disc and maybe cause a turnover and get them back into the game. There's another turnover there. Let's see how McDuff do this time. Nice up the line pass, continuation play, and that's what McDuff wanted before. Lovely grab by 42 on the inside, lovely play overall. McDuff catching up 6-12. So McDuff looking to close the gap if they can on this lead that Krank have. Krank at the moment 12-6 up. There's a couple of runs deep by Krank, but knocking each other out and a turnover happening there in the middle. Very much an unguarded player, probably a pick call in that, I suspect. So we'll go back to the thrower. McDuff player still quite free as the Krank player is allowed to make up the gain ground, but still 3 meters away from the offensive receiver. We got a swing to the near side, movement back into the middle. It is moved up the field quite well. And now McDuff feeling a bit of momentum, although that is the full-time siren. So at the moment, McDuff 7-12. So time cap happening just after that last point was scored. So we'll play this point out to see what our points cap will be. Almost a nice defensive effort there by number 9 and McDuff. Losing that disc in the run, number 63. Didn't know where it was, had to look left and right for it, but wasn't able to find it. Backup runner there, knew where it was, but still unfortunately wasn't able to get that, which gives McDuff another chance to claw back into this game. Nice movement, gaining at least halfway. 38 will get as much on that as he can. Runs it to the beginning of the end zone. So they're looking to score. Hopefully he'll have enough awareness about them not to turn it over, and safe hands is what they're looking for. Give up a few just to treasure and value that disc. Still looking for the end zone, but that's the one they wanted. So score is 8-12 to Krank, and we have a game to 13. Looking for the roller going across the field. Traps it on that sideline at least, but it's only halfway up. So I suspect Krank will be looking to finish this one off at the moment, so they'll want to value the disc, but they still might go for the long huck. Looking for the easy unders. Krank working it up nicely. Now they're in a position to score right now. This is where it's do or die for McDuff. They've got to really pull out the defense quite strongly here. Make sure they man up. Give no quarter. That's the turnover that McDuff wanted. There's the big huck that goes up. That's a lovely put and a lovely read by the receiver. It's a lovely run up there as well. Nice dump back. McDuff really want to treasure this disc. They don't want to turn it over. Safe hands, safe decisions all the way around. They get their next point. McDuff are happy about that one. Score's now 9-12. Krank with a disc. Yep. So Krank again looking to score. McDuff on the rebound now. They got some fire in their pants at the moment, although if you can block this one out, Krank defensively, and there's going to be a call on that. I didn't see anything from my position, but I'm a fair way away. I'm not privy to a replay here, but it didn't look like there was a lot in that. I don't think there was anything in it, but still the call was made. So if the McDuff player still wants to take the call, I'm guessing it will be contested. No. They're quite happy for the turnover. Not too sure. And that's the game. Krank round this out. 13-39. Well done.